The United States has maintained diplomatic relations with Ethiopia since 1903. Both countries have enjoyed mutual benefits over the last 120 years or so. But what are the current areas of interest in collaboration between United States and Ethiopia? Hello and welcome. My guest for today is Naomi Fellows, who is the acting Deputy Chief of Mission of the United States Embassy in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Stay tuned. Naomi Fellow, great to have you in my show and welcome to Ethiopia News Agency.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm pleased to be here.
Given the long-standing partnership between Ethiopia and United States, how do you assess the current state of their bilateral relations?
For the United States, Ethiopia is a key player in Africa, not only because of its location and its size and the size of its economy within the region of the Horn of Africa, but for all of Africa. Yes, it is host to the African Union, but Ethiopia itself as a country contributes a great deal to the African continent. As such, we find it a very important partner for our work, not only with the Horn of Africa, but throughout the African region. And as such, for us, it's important that Ethiopia be prosperous, secure, peaceful, and stable. For this reason, a lot of our partnerships focus not just on relations in terms of working together on diplomatic efforts throughout the Horn of Africa region, but also focus a great deal on working with Ethiopia in order to ensure that it's an economically secure and strong country, which is why we supported the IMF World Bank Agreement and many of the macroeconomic reforms that are being implemented as a result of that agreement. Because an Ethiopia that's prosperous is an Ethiopia that's stable and is an Ethiopia that can continue to contribute and be a partner for the United States in the region. And this is also the reason why we continue to work so closely with Ethiopia on the issue of stability and security within the country and peace.
In which area are the two countries collaborating currently?
We collaborate across a wide range of issues. As I mentioned, and I know we'll discuss a little bit further, we do collaborate a great deal on overall regional issues. But within Ethiopia, we collaborate in ways that go beyond just a government-to-government relationship. So much of the U.S.-Ethiopia relationship has aspects of the private sector, so business-to-business relationships, but also people-to-people relationships. The size of the Ethiopian diaspora outside of Ethiopia and in the United States, but also the amount of Ethiopians that travel back and forth and the amount of Americans that travel back and forth. The very deep relationships that exist between Ethiopian and United States academics in terms of intellectual exchange. The support that we provide and that we work with the Ministry of Health as well as regional health agencies in order to work with Ethiopia to expand health services throughout the country and address issues such as HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and many other communicable and non-communicable diseases. We also do humanitarian assistance. As you noted, we are a huge provider of that. In the last year, we've provided over $800 million in humanitarian assistance, which allows us to help Ethiopia be such a wonderful host to so many refugees and displaced people from throughout the region. We also provide in the last year provided $114 million to the Ethiopian government's PSNP program, which is a food security program that it has in the country. So that's a partnership as well, as we discussed, trying to make sure that Ethiopia is economically prosperous and secure and stable.
Let us talk about investment and economies.
Sure.
Recently the government of Ethiopia has been taking series of significant measures to liberalize the economy. The previous restrictive laws have been removed and the investment climate of Ethiopia has become conducive now. And as you know, the investment potential of Ethiopia is also huge. So the question is, do you think United States investors and companies are coming to Ethiopia to the extent of Ethiopia's investment potential?
I think that Ethiopia's investment potential is huge, and there's so much possibility. We do have several American businesses which have invested here. Of course, there's the long-standing relationship between Boeing and Ethiopian Airlines, working together on industrial development as well as technical development and growth of the aviation sector within Ethiopia as well. We also do have other businesses, many of them driven by diaspora, who are investing here. And there's some long-standing businesses that have been here, such as Coca-Cola and others. So it's, it's part of a continuous conversation always. The focus really for investors wanting to come in and take advantage of the incredible potential in Ethiopia is going to be the investment climate and security and stability and the economic stability. And so we work and partner with the Ethiopian government and the Ethiopian people on all of these issues on a regular basis.
Let us talk about the agreement between Ethiopia and Somalia in Turkey, Ankara. What is the implication of this agreement for the wider Horn of Africa, for the stability and security of the Horn of Africa?
Having Ethiopia and Somalia speaking with each other then allows for a better partnership in addressing the bigger regional issues such as countering terrorism, the terrorism of al-Shabaab and ISIS, as well as addressing the issue of the Houthis in the Red Sea and how that's impacting trade for Ethiopia in particular. So having Ethiopia and Somalia working together in partnership is absolutely essential for us to be able to address the bigger issues in the region, particularly the issues of counterterrorism.
How the United States government is working, collaborating with Ethiopia to ensure peace and security in the Horn of Africa.
The relationship between the U.S. and Ethiopia is one not just of the two countries, but of all of the countries that surround Ethiopia. And it's a constant effort at finding new pathways. This is why we find the Ankara Declaration so important, because it allows Ethiopia and Somalia to address something that's been an irritant for the last year, and for them to then help us work together as a trio to address the broader regions of stability within the Horn, many of which are being brought on by terrorist organizations such as ISIS and al-Shabaab and the Houthis in the Red Sea. Ethiopia is central. It is absolutely central, not just geographically, but also absolutely central because of its long history, its long diplomatic history in the region, because of its long history working to fight the scourges of counterterrorism and instability in the region. So it's an absolute partner that we could not work on any of these issues without.
So finally, let me hear your opinion regarding Ethiopia's quest for sea access. In what way do you think the international community and neighboring countries of Ethiopia should support Ethiopia's effort to secure sea access in a peaceful manner?
I think one of the essential things would be for the international community to support in any way possible the technical talks that were called for under the Ankara Declaration. And to ensure that the technical talks make sure that Ethiopia has a secure and stable access to the sea that respects Somalia's territorial integrity. And I think any conversation that Ethiopia chooses to have that's a negotiated conversation is one where if they discuss it with the international community, we can see how we support. But for right now, the best way that we see forward is the technical talks laid out in the Ankara Agreement, making sure that those start as soon as possible and are as productive as possible and come to a resolution as quickly as possible.
Naomi Fellows, the Acting Deputy Chief of Missions of United States Embassy in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, thank you very much for making time to conduct this interview.
Thank you so much for having me and for allowing me to present our perspective on these questions. Thank you.